In the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, God's grace and peace. So the past several weeks we've had Jesus encountering several people. Several weeks ago was Nicodemus under the cover of darkness, and we've got that wonderful verse, John 3:16, God so loved the world, whoever believes will be saved. We learned something about our Lord Jesus Christ, about that loving the world, leading. We met the woman at the well, a woman who is lost, a woman with a horrible reputation. At least some people might think so. And she discovers Jesus Christ, and he is truly the water of life. The water of life. Oh, how we can treasure our baptisms. Last week it was the blind man. Blind since birth. No accident here. He's just blind. And now he sees. Boy, isn't that just like us? Even though we call ourselves children of God, doesn't it still say that we are more blind than we can see? And it's Christ who gives us sight. We're 2 weeks away from Easter. The account today is Lazarus, the brother of Mary and Martha. He died. What do we learn? Jesus Christ raises the dead. Jesus Christ is God. Jesus Christ is the true God. He's our God. He's the God we put our faith in. He's the God who's going to raise me and raise you. That's what we learned today. All through the Lent season, we're meant to be growing, looking forward. This is what Jesus is doing. So that by the time we get to Good Friday, we see Jesus Christ lifted up there on the cross, and the sky goes dark, and Jesus cries out that it's finished, and the curtain in the temple is torn in two from top to bottom. There is nothing standing in the way between us and the Heavenly Father any longer. We will know for certain that we have been reconciled by God. We are one with our Father. Nothing stands in the way. So our gospel, Lazarus. Jesus tells us in so many words what's going on today. Jesus avoids going to Bethany when he's received word from Mary and Martha. And he tells his disciples, it is for God's glory, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it. To be glorified. That's a good word. To be lifted up. To be glorified. And since it's something where you're going to be glorified, that suggests you're not glorified yet. It's going to happen, but not yet. Something is going to be revealed that's not revealed yet. Something is unknown that's going to become known. And to be glorified means that what is revealed is going to be something, it is stupendously wonderful. That's what we're going to see. To be glorified. Now let's contrast that word with to be exposed. Exposed. It doesn't quite have the same wonderful, fuzzy context that glorified does. To be exposed means that there's something hidden that's going to be revealed. Something that's covered up that's going to be uncovered. To be exposed means that whatever it is that's going to be revealed, it's not going to be good. Jesus exposes the Pharisees and the scribes. Matthew chapter 23, we don't read that chapter. It is too bad to read. He says to the Pharisees and scribes, woe to you teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You are like whitewashed tombs, which look beautiful on the outside, but on the inside are full of dead men's bones and everything unclean. Go to the cemeteries and the mausoleums. They make them so grand, don't they? I don't know if we really think about it. We try not to, but on the other side of that thin veneer of granite that has people's names on it, you know what's on the other side of that? Dead people. bones. The Pharisees and the scribes, that's the way they were. They looked good. They sounded good. They were faithful men of God. They were always in God's house. And yet, God is saying that you are spiritually dead on the inside because you don't know who I am. Oh, we have a good time pointing our finger at those Pharisees, don't we? You know, our Lord's pointing a finger at us too. Because he exposes the same terribleness in us. Really. He says to us, why do you say, Lord, Lord, and you don't do what I say? Why? Why do you worry about your life, about what you're going to eat or drink, or about your body and what you're going to wear? Why? Why do you worry? He says, why is it that you people, you can see the speck in someone else's eye, but you can't see the log in your own eye? Why do you doubt? Why do you fear? Why do you not believe? Let's turn to John 7. He says, why do you try to kill me? Why indeed? See, by his word, we are exposed. But by what Jesus does, his deeds, his miracles, his works, he is glorified. And with each successive encounter, he is being made known to you so that you may believe and not doubt that this Jesus is, and let me quote Hebrews chapter 1, verse 3, that he is the radiance of the glory of God and the exact representation of his being, sustaining all things by his powerful word. That's what we're supposed to believe. We're going into Holy Week, and that's what we're supposed to believe. So this morning we meet Lazarus. He's been dead in the tomb 4 days. And we have to understand that the reason why this portion of Scripture is given to us is so that the Son of God may be glorified through it. Now, who would have guessed that the reason Jesus delayed in returning to Bethany to heal Lazarus was so that Jesus might be glorified? Who would have thought that? Martha didn't. Mary didn't. The crowds didn't. Who would have concluded, oh, Lazarus is dead. I guess God's going to glorify himself now. No one. But then again, who of us would actually come to the conclusion Jesus suffered under Pontius Pilate, crucified, died, and buried? Oh, God must now be glorifying himself through his Son, Jesus Christ. But this is exactly the conclusion we are to come to. As Jesus prays in the Garden of Gethsemane, he prays, Father, the time has come. Glorify your Son so that your Son may glorify you. What do we learn today? What do we learn? That it is Jesus Christ who raises the dead. Let that sink deep. Our Old Testament lesson is a great one. Right? I preached many times on Ezekiel 37, them bones, and dry bones. But do you recall as we read the Old Testament, we read Ezekiel, where God is speaking, he says, oh, Son of Man, prophesy this. Son of Man, you say this. Son of Man, do this. See, Jesus is greater than Ezekiel. Ezekiel, he just speaks what the Spirit tells him to say. What does the Spirit tell him to say? This is what the Spirit of the Lord said. "Oh, my people, I'm going to open your graves and bring you up from them." And that's exactly what happened with Lazarus. But Jesus doesn't need to be told what to say. Jesus is God. He has his own divine authority. "Lazarus, come out," he says. What are we to make of this? Well, I think the same thing that Ezekiel was to make. "And you shall know that I am the Lord, and I will open up your graves and raise you from your graves, O my people." If we're going to understand one thing from our gospel this morning, one thing from our message this morning, that is Jesus is Lord. That is what we have to take on. Jesus is Lord. Jesus gave his disciples a hint that this is exactly what was going to happen. He told them earlier that our friend Lazarus is asleep, but he's going to go there to wake him up. Death and sleep. He does the same thing with Jairus' daughter. Jairus was a man, his daughter died, and by the time Jairus gets Jesus to his home to heal his daughter, the funeral procession had already started. The mourners and the wailers were already there, and Jesus comments, he says, "Why are you making commotion and wailing? The child's not dead, but only asleep." When Jesus is present, death is reduced to nothing but sleep. And the difference between death and sleep is you don't sleep forever. You wake up. In fact, with Jesus, the time that you were asleep in death is like nothing. The criminal on the cross, today you'll be with me in paradise. Lazarus, it was as if he just closed his eyes in death, and immediately Jesus is waking him up 4 days later. And it's going to be a good sleep, too. Great sleep. It's going to be the fulfillment of what Jesus had promised when he said, "I will give you rest." Oh, that's going to be a good rest. When we've had that rest, when we know Christ, see, Jesus will be glorified, fully revealed, fully known to us as we are to him. And we will see him as he truly is. Wow. Something else we need to take away from our gospel this morning. And it has to do with that disconnect that we have between what Jesus does and who he is. And it pops up in this gospel lesson 3 times. John mentions it purposely. First, it's Martha who says to Jesus, "Lord, if you had been here, our brother would not have died." And then Mary says the same thing. "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." And then it's the Jews, the crowds who were around us said, "Could not he who opened the eyes of the blind also kept this man from dying?" See, all 3 believed that Jesus could have prevented Jesus or Lazarus' death. All 3 were disappointed that he didn't. And all 3 based their hopes on what Jesus would do for them rather than who Jesus is. We think to ourselves, now, what's the big deal? It's a big deal. You and I, we make the same mistake. We tend to believe Jesus and all the wonderful things that he can do for us. It's more than what Jesus, it's more than who Jesus is. That he's God. What can he do? From Jesus, what do we get? Well, we get forgiveness of sins, the resurrection of the dead, eternal life, gifts of the Spirit. And you see, I'm doing it already. It's like I'm counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're listing them. But if these things, they're good things, but if they're not really what I expect, they're not really what I hope for, they don't really come as quickly as I might want them to be, I find myself being disappointed. And I think to myself, why didn't God do something else? Why didn't he come quicker? Why did he allow this bad thing to happen? So, I guess this thing that really didn't seem like a big deal at first, like what's the big deal? Is it Jesus' work or is it his person? Well, now that Jesus has been revealed and made known to us, wow, that says something terrible about me when I start counting 1, 2, 3, 4. It's more about what Jesus does for me than who Jesus is. And Jesus corrects Martha right away. Jesus says to Martha, he says, I am the resurrection and the life. Martha's all worried about her brother. No, Martha, I am the resurrection and the life. You know, the feeding of the 5,000 on the northern shores of the Sea of Galilee. You know, the people, they wanted from Jesus, give us bread to eat so we don't have to work so hard for it. They wanted to make him a bread king. And Jesus says, no, no. It's not about what you eat. I am the bread of life. The woman at the well, same thing. She just wanted from Jesus, give me this water. No. Jesus Christ, am the water of life. I think the important thing for us to take away this morning as well is to grasp that Jesus Christ doesn't come just to give his stuff. He comes to give you himself, which is better than stuff. See, that's why our baptism is so important and so precious to us. He hasn't loaded up the baptismal water with all these things. No. He's given us himself. Christ in you. He is with you. See, that's enough. Christ is enough. That's why our Lord's Supper is so important and so precious to us. It's not just the distribution of heavenly gifts in the bread and the wine. Jesus gives himself. This is my body, my blood. So don't base your hopes on what Jesus gives you. Let his presence, him, be your confidence to go faithfully forward. With Jesus' body and blood, you have Christ in you. That is enough. You have the forgiveness of sins because you have Jesus, who is the atoning sacrifice for sin. You have the love of God because you have Jesus, and he is love. You have the peace of God because you have Jesus, and he is God's peace. You have life and resurrection from the dead because Jesus Christ has come to you and says, I am the resurrection and the life. Amen. Let us pray.